Physiology, Chapter 2, Video number 4. Students, in this video, I am going to discuss about the animal tissues, namely muscular tissue, under which I will be telling you about the features and functions of striated muscles, unstriated muscle, and cardiac muscle. And then I will be discussing about the features and function of nervous tissue. Muscular tissue is a contractile animal tissue which helps in bringing about various kinds of movement. The muscular tissue or muscle is made up of muscle cells, and these muscle cells, they are quite elongated. So as the muscle cells are quite elongated, the muscle cells are also called as muscle fiber. They are also known as muscle fiber. Now, the muscle fibers contract and relax because of the presence of special contractile proteins that are present in their cytoplasm. Right? About these detailed structure and the working of these contractile proteins is to be learned in higher classes. For class 9, you just need to know that the contractions and relaxations are because of these contractile proteins. It is these contractile protein that change their arrangement and shape, and that causes the muscle fiber to become shorter or contract at times and then relax at certain other times, and that causes different kinds of movements. Now, muscle or muscular tissue is of three types. They are the voluntary muscles, also called as skeletal muscles. You've got the cardiac muscles and the smooth muscles. So now let us study about the features and functions of each of these kinds. First, let us study about the voluntary muscles. Now, voluntary muscles, also called as striated muscles. So, why they are called? So, we'll discuss first. Voluntary muscles are the muscles whose movement is under your control. So, muscles whose contraction and relaxation or whose movement can be controlled by our will. Like if you have to move your hands or the limbs, hands and legs, it is up to you to move it. Okay, you can control the movement of the limbs. So this control is like, since these muscles, they can be controlled by us, their movement can be controlled by us, these muscles are called as voluntary muscles. These muscles, you will find them present in different parts of the body. As these muscles, they are attached to your limbs, to the bones. As the muscles are mostly attached to the bones, these voluntary muscles are also called as skeletal muscles. They are also called as skeletal they are also called as skeletal muscles, right? Because these muscles are attached to the bones. So the muscles which are present in your limbs, hands and legs, your tongue, okay, the upper, the pharynx region, all these regions, they have got this they contain the striated muscles, which are also called as the voluntary muscles. Have a look at the structure of the striated muscles or the voluntary muscle. The muscle fiber, this is one muscle fiber being shown in the diagram. So each muscle fiber, it is quite elongated and cylindrical. So the muscle fiber is cylindrical. Other thing that you find is that the muscle fiber, it is multinucleated. You find many nuclei, elongated nuclei, which is present towards the periphery. So the muscle fiber is multinucleated. And other thing that you find is that these muscle fibers, they have got light and dark band. You can see here there are dark band presence which are alternate with the light bands. So because of these presence of alternate light and dark bands, these muscles are also called as striated muscles. When you see these muscle fibers under a compound microscope, you can see such striations of light and dark band. So as these muscle fibers have got these striations or light and dark bands, they are also called as striated muscles. The muscle fibers are cylindrical, they are unbranched. Okay, so these are the features of the striated muscles. So striated muscles, they are called so because they have got striations. These muscles are also called as voluntary muscles because their movement can be controlled. Okay, so they are called as voluntary muscle because we can control the movement of these muscles. These muscles are also called as skeletal muscles because they are attached to the bones. Now coming to the other type of muscle, which is the smooth muscle. Now, smooth muscles are present in your internal organs, like the iris of the eyes. You have learned about the structure of eye in your class 8, and there you had learned that in the eye you've got a dark circular part which gives which may be brown or black in color, and that's called as the iris. And in the center of the iris you have got the pupil. The size of the pupil you have learned is controlled by the iris. So this iris of eye is made up of these smooth muscles. Not just the iris, your esophagus. Like when you swallow food, you find that the food moves down through the esophagus and reaches the stomach. And further, it moves down through the alimentary canal by a type of movement which is called as peristalsis. The movement is peristalsis. This you must have learned in your junior classes, which is a rhythmic contraction. It's a contraction and relaxation of the smooth muscles which lines the wall of the alimentary canal. Even your blood vessels through which blood moves. So the movement of blood is because of the contraction and relaxation of the muscles which makes the wall of the blood vessels, that is artery and veins. Okay, and all these movements, when you just have an observation of, you find that whether it is peristalsis or when the movement that occurs in the blood vessels, which is because of relaxation and contraction of those muscles which are present, these movements are cannot be controlled by us. They are not under our conscious control. So these are all examples of involuntary movement. You cannot control the movement of iris. Iris keeps on contracting and relaxing to ensure that right amount of light passes through the pupil. And these movements cannot be controlled by us. They are all involuntary movements. So involuntary movements are because of those muscles which are not under our control. We cannot control these muscles, and so because we cannot control these muscles, it's not under our conscious control. These muscles are also called as involuntary muscles. Now, the involuntary muscles are also called as smooth muscles. Have a look at the structure of this, or the muscle fiber, smooth muscle fiber. You find that each muscle fiber is elongated and it is pointed at both the ends. So this type of shape where the ends are pointed and the center is broader, this is called as spindle shape. So muscle fibers are spindle shape. Then you don't find any striations, like how you find striation in case of the striated muscles or voluntary muscles. This alternate light and dark bands are present, but these you don't find in case of smooth muscles. So as striations are not present, they are called as smooth muscles, or they are also called as unstriated muscles. Then the muscle cell is uninucleate. In the center you find a single nucleus present in the muscle fiber. So the cells are uninucleate. Okay, just now I told you that striated muscles are multinucleate, but these are uninucleate. Okay, single nucleus. So these are the features of smooth muscles, right? And they are present in our internal organs, as just now said you, that the wall of the arteries, veins, then you've got the esophagus or the alimentary canal, where that is esophagus, stomach, and all the parts of the alimentary canal. There you find these smooth muscles present. The iris of eye, the ureter, the bronchus, they are all having these smooth muscles, right? So that's about the smooth muscles. The third kind of muscle is only found in the heart. Okay, so these muscles which are found exclusively in the wall of the heart and found nowhere else, that's called as the cardiac muscle, right? So when you see the structure of the cardiac muscle, what you find is that the cells are cylindrical. So like that of striated muscles, the cells are cylindrical, but they are a bit shorter. Okay, they are shorter than the striated muscles, and these have got broader ends. Then other feature that you find is each cell has got a single nucleus. So cells are uninucleate. They are uninucleate. The cells are uninucleate, they are cylindrical, they have got broader ends. And other thing that you find is the cardiac muscle cells, they are all branched. You can see the cells are all branched. So they are connected to one another. So if one muscle contracts, the wave of contraction passes to all. So this is a feature of cardiac muscle. Now coming to the function of cardiac muscles, the cardiac muscles shows rhythmic contraction. So they throughout the life they contract and relax rhythmically so that the heart can pump blood to different parts of the body. Okay, so that's about the three types of muscle. The striated muscles whose movement is under our control and so it is voluntary. The unstriated or smooth muscles, these are involuntary in nature because their movement cannot be controlled by us, right? And the cardiac muscles which are again involuntary in function. If you see the structure you find they are like striated muscles, but functional feature when we go with, they are involuntary in nature and they show rhythmic contraction. So they contract and relax rhythmically. And one more feature that I've missed is that these cardiac muscles, they have got faint striations. You can see striations present, but these are much fainter than what is seen in case of striated muscles. So this is a table which shows a comparative account of the three types of muscles. Striated muscles, when just now I said you, the cells are cylindrical, unbranched, multinucleate with alternate light and dark bands, so called as striated muscles. In case of smooth muscles, the cells are elongated, spindle shaped, uninucleate, and they do not have striations. Then the cardiac muscles, they are short, cylindrical with broader ends, they are uninucleate and they are branched with faint striations. The striated muscles, they are mostly attached to the bones. So as they are attached to the bones, they are called as skeletal muscles, right? The other thing is they are found where else do they occur? They occur in our limbs, the body wall, your face, neck, tongue, pharynx, diaphragm. All these are the parts where striated muscles are present, whereas the smooth muscles or involuntary muscle occurs in the wall of alimentary canal, the iris of eye, the ureter and the bronchi of lungs. And the cardiac muscles are found only in the wall of heart. Then coming to the functions or nature, the striated muscles are voluntary in nature because their movement can be controlled by us, whereas the smooth muscles, their movement of these muscles cannot be controlled and hence they are involuntary in nature. And the cardiac muscles, they are involuntary in nature and these muscles show rhythmic contraction. Now, other important feature that you find is that the striated muscles get tired very soon. That's because of the accumulation of lactic acid. So they get tired quite easily. The smooth muscles, they generally don't get tired. And cardiac muscle, they never get tired. Only when they get tired, then one may get cardiac arrest also, right? So these are the differences between the three types of muscular tissue. The fourth fundamental type of animal tissue is the nervous tissue. This tissue is specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus rapidly from one part of the body to other part in the form of electrical impulses or nerve impulses. Okay, so messages from one part of the body to other part is quickly transmitted by the nervous tissue. Okay, you have learned in your lower classes that every cell responds to the stimuli, right? It is a feature of a living organism. Response to stimuli is a feature of all living organism, and this particular tissue is highly specialized to be stimulated. So when it receives a stimulus, it immediately gets stimulated. Then after getting stimulated, it generates an electric current which is called as a nerve impulse or electrical impulse, and then this impulse is quickly transmitted. So in the form of this electrical impulse, this message is quickly transmitted to different parts of the body. It can be, suppose you have to move your muscles. So for moving muscle, when the command is given from the brain, then this command will be taken by this neuron or the nerve cell, or you can say it as a nervous tissue, quickly to the muscle fiber. And once the muscle fiber or the muscle gets the command, then it starts contracting. So how it happens, that you'll be learning in your class 10. So contraction of the muscle fiber occurs and then finally a response is shown in the form of movement. So together the nervous tissue and the muscular tissue together makes a neuromuscular system, and this neuromuscular system together is responsible for showing quick responses. So quick responses that we show is because of the neuromuscular system that we have in our body. Now the nervous tissue is present. Where is it present? It is present in organs like brain. Then you've got the spinal cord and the nerves, which carry all the messages from one part to other part. The messages will be taken from the sense organs to the brain for interpretation, and then the response is again taken to different parts. So your brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves, these are the organs or structures which makes the nervous tissue, which is made up of, it's made up of the nervous tissue. Now the nervous tissue is made up of neurons. Neurons are called as the structural and functional units of the nervous tissue that is specialized to generate and transmit electrical impulse for passage of information. So neurons, so your brain or whatever nervous organ it is, the functional units of these organs are the neurons. So it is the neuron which, after receiving the stimulus, will generate electric impulse or electric current, which is called as electric impulse or nerve impulse, and this impulse then is quickly transmitted to different parts of the body. You have learned in the beginning of the beginning of the first chapter that the neurons are the longest cells of our body. So very quickly, in a fraction of a second, in the form of electric impulse, the message is taken to different parts of the body. Now let us study the structure of a neuron. Each neuron has got three important parts. One is the cell body, which is also called as cyton. You've got the dendrite and the axon. So let's see what are these. Cell body or the cyton. Cell body or cyton is that part of a neuron which has abundance of cytoplasm, nucleus and organelles. So that part which has got lots of cytoplasm, the nucleus and the organelle, that is what is called as cyton or cell body. Now arising from the cyton or the cell body are short and long cytoplasmic processes. These short cytoplasmic process, which is branched, having tapering ends, pointed ends. These short cytoplasmic processes are called as dendrites. So the role of dendrite is that it is the dendrite which will be receiving the stimulus. Stimulus or can be touch, it can be light or any kind of change. So stimulus is first received by the dendrite tip, then after receiving that it will convert it into an electric impulse, which in this form the message is taken to the cell body. So dendrite's role is to pass the message from the dendrite tip to the cell body, and then the cell body or the cyton has got a long cytoplasmic process which is of uniform thickness, and generally it is unbranched. So this long cytoplasmic process is called as the axon. The axon carries the impulse away from the cell body. So that's the role of axon. The impulse will be generated at the dendrite tip, and then this is then taken to the cell body by the dendrites. Then from the cell body the message will be passed away from the cell body to the far end by means of the axon, and at the end you find that the axon is branch, it terminates in a branch way. This branch terminal of axon is called as a nerve ending. So at the nerve ending, what will you find after this? Now where the nerve fiber ends, there you may find that there may be it may lie close to the dendrite tip of the next neuron. So this can be there, or these axon may terminate over a muscle fiber also. So they may terminate over a muscle fiber. The axon may terminate over a muscle fiber also. So if suppose a response is being brought from the brain, then the response will be brought by first it will be picked up by the dendrite, then it will be taken to the cyton, and then the cyton from the cyton the axon gets a message to the axon terminal or the nerve ending, and at the once it reaches a nerve ending, then from here the message is passed to the muscle. So what you see over here is muscle fiber. This is a striated muscle, so it's a muscle fiber. So once the message reaches the muscle fiber will respond by becoming shorter. So it contracts and becomes shorter, and this causes the movement. So because of this nervous tissue, quick impulses or messages are carried quickly from one part of the body to other part. So these are the different animal tissues that are present in our body. In my previous video, I had discussed about two of the animal tissue, that is epithelial tissue, which is the protective lining of the body. Then I had discussed about the connective tissue, different types of connective tissues like areolar tissue, adipose tissue, ligament, tendon, bone, cartilage. All these were discussed. They connect one part of the body to the other part. So that was discussed. And in this video, I have discussed about the muscular tissue, which is responsible for bringing about various kinds of movements, and the nervous tissue, which is specialized for receiving the stimulus, generating an electric impulse, and then transmitting it to other parts of the body. On the basis of the video that you've watched, here are some questions that you have to do in your biology assignment copies. The first question is, differentiate between the three types of muscles on the basis of their structure and function. Next, why are muscle cells also called muscle fibers? Third question is, why are voluntary muscles also known as skeletal muscles? Fourth is, how is the muscular tissue specialized for movement? And the fifth question is, describe the function, structure and function of neurons.